Graduation. Yeah. 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 Upton. Upton's up there too. She's up by Parker. It's crazy to me to see all these kids that I probably would know if I could see them back in Bellevue. Like some of them had to have been people in Bellevue. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. She's tall. Okay.
I'd like to call the order of the Milan Area
Do we
School
have to
Board
do the
of
pledge
Education
again?
regular meeting for Tuesday,
Are you
June
sure?
7th, 2022. Would everyone please rise for the pledge of allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome to see everyone here this evening. We appreciate you coming out. Thank you for watching online as well. Mr. Farrow is excused this evening, as well as our two student board members. Otherwise, all board members are present. First, we are going to start with some recognitions. So if I could have the 2021-2022 Milan Area Schools Choir come to the stage, along with Mrs. Powell, to be recognized. You guys will just line up in front of us. Yep. You guys are used to being on the stage.
You won't fall for we promise. We promise. Okay, John, Joe.
All right, so I need a motion to commend the 2021-2022 Milan Area School Choirs and their director for all their accomplishments this year.
So moved. Support by Freight?
Moved by Becca, support by Frank. Let me read this here. And help me if I mispronounce your name. Whereas the 21-22 Milan Area Schools Choir are being recognized for the following individual and group accomplishments. Michigan School Vocal Music Association High School Regional Honor Choir members of 21. Holly Charter, Gwendolyn Jones, Benjamin Orlando, Eric Severson, Molly Smith, Alden Tuesley, Cheyenne Froelich, Evelyn Slade. Michigan School Vocal Music Association High School State Honor Choir members 22. Gwendolyn Jones, Eric Severson, Molly Smith. Michigan School Music Vocal Music Association Michigan All-State Choir members 22. Molly Smith. Michigan School Vocal Music Association Middle School State Honor Choir members 22. Violet Burdett, Adasa Emma Pichu, Zoe Gam, Megan Halpin, Lexi Lozen, Elise McLaren, Evelyn Gill, Jackson Mullins. Michigan School Vocal Music Association District Solo and Ensemble Excellent Rating Performance. The Milan High School Chamber Choir Soprano and Alto Ensemble 2022. Kendall Baldwin, Adina Kachuk, Michelle Carey, Holly Charter, Gwendolyn Jones, Jenna Long, Haley Cleary, Molly Smith, Rachel Taylor, Ella Warren, Adeline Choir, Abby Willis. Michigan School Vocal Music Association District and Solo Ensemble Excellent Rating Performance. Michigan High School Chamber Choir Tenor and Bass Ensemble 2022. Ian Cohen, Benjamin Orlando, Joseph Rittenauer, Eric Severson, Alden Tuesley. Michigan School Vocal Music Association Directs District Solo and Ensemble Excellent Rating Performance. The Milan High School Concert Choir Soprano and Alto Ensemble 2022. Aniela, Curl, Cheyenne Froelich, Julia Hawkins, Lila Joma, Lily Rodriguez, Evelyn Slayton. The Michigan School Vocal Music Association District Solo and Ensemble Excellent Rating Performance. The Milan Middle School 6, 7, and 8 Ensemble 2022. Amanda Baird, Aurora Barnier, Kai Bell, Madeline Benedict, Violet Burdett, Adasa Emma Pichuk, Mason Faulkner, Salia, Rachel Taylor, Alden Tuesley, Ella Warren, Adeline Wire, and Abby Willis. Now therefore be it resolved that the Milan Area School Board of Education commends Shayla Powell and the 2021-2022 Milan Area School Choirs for their accomplishments, and that we sincerely thank them for the honor and pride they brought to themselves, their school, and the community. Ms. Powell's going to brag on you guys for a minute.
Yes, we are just so thankful that you took the time this evening to recognize all of those names, all of those events and performances that we longed for while we were Zooming and doing creative ways of staying together. It was truly a joy to be back together making music in person. And these folks that came this evening to represent our ensembles are excited about what comes next now that we're back making music together. Thank you for supporting us this year and beyond.
It's been moved and supported to commend the 2021-2022 Milan Area School Choirs and their director for all their accomplishments this year. Ms. Hyman.
Grace,
Yes.
Tiger, yes. Tiger, yes. Manningham,
Yes.
Macchio, yes. Tislow,
Yes.
motion carries.
So you guys will get a copy of that resolution. We'll make sure that you guys get a copy of that soon. So thank you so much for coming this evening. We appreciate it. Now we have the 21-22 Milan Area School bands come up to the stage. We appreciate it.
Come on, guys. Dude, just stay down there.
All right, a motion to commend the 21-22 Milan Area School band and the director for all their accomplishments this year.
So moved by Freight?
Been moved by Frank, supported by Macchio. Move this. Whereas the 21-22 Milan Area School band are being recognized for the following individual and group accomplishments: state, solo, and ensemble participants. Skylar Shank, Ella Overby, Jessica Ruthie, Peter Fink, Shane Matt Pagowski, Zach Fink, Riley Elgin, Lauren O'Day, Caleb Overby,
Yes?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now, we can have the 21-22 Milan High School production students to the stage, please. All right, we need a motion to commend the 21-22 Milan Area School production students and their directors for all their accomplishments this year.
So moved by Freight?
The move by Freight, support by Kiger. Whereas the 21-22 Milan High School production students are being recognized for the following accomplishments. The MHS Productions casting crew achieved great success during the 21-22 season in the wake of being completely shut down for the entirety of the 2021 school year. MHS Productions presented to the community Food on Stage in the fall of 21. MHS Productions presented to the community Peter and the Star Catcher in the spring of 2022. MHS Productions casting crew came together to fundraise in order to overcome the harsh financial impact of their show for the Adams family being shut down prematurely in March of 2020. MHS Productions casting crew has worked tirelessly in welcoming a number of outside production companies to the theater, helping to showcase the facilities and community of Milan. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Milan Area School Board of Education, from attendance class, Amanda Williams, Denise Williams, Yvette Hatchinger, and the 21-22 Milan High School theater students for their accomplishments and sincerely thank them for the honor and pride they have brought to themselves, their school, and the community.
She's up there. Come on, Dennis. Hey, Dennis. Woo!
Well, thank you guys so much. Like you said, the financial hardship was really hard for the fall show, but it wouldn't have been without our parents, the other directors, me, the awesome crew and cast to get us through it. And yeah, and we did a lot of fundraising like bottle drives. So if you want to continue saving up your bottles, we will take some in the fall. But yeah, we did Clue, and that one was amazing. There was a Saturday night where we had almost 500 people here, which was amazing. And then in the fall we had Peter and the Starcatcher, which was a play with music, and a lot of these students were involved in that, and it was amazing. The lighting was awesome. So thank you guys for just being a part of it, and can't wait for next year. So thank you guys.
Woohoo! So, Dennis.
So it's been moved and supported to commend the 21-22 Milan Area School production students and their directors for all their accomplishments this year. Ms. Hunt.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Thank you so much. You guys are welcome to stay. We're going to represent some of your teachers. If you want to stay for that, for retirees, you can leave after that. Make a motion to thank Aubrey Bukowski and Ellen Molina for their service as school board student representatives.
Moved by Carter. Support by Michelle.
Been moved and supported to thank our student board representatives. Unfortunately, they're absent this evening. I do know that Ellen Molina is competing in a regional soccer game this evening in Pontiac. So good luck to those girls. And we have some certificates this year, we'll be sure to get to them. So it's been moved to thank Aubrey Bukowski and Ellen Molina for their service as school board representatives. Ms. Pica.
Lanningham.
Yes.
Macchio. Yes. Sislo.
Yes.
Freight.
Yes?
Pica, yes. Kiger. Yes. Motion carries 6-0.
All right. Steve Porter, John Fleming, Craig Zuby, Tracy Klein, Julie Belhage, Marie Lamar, Nelda Palmer, Don Silly, and Steve Livingston and Carol Winter for their service to Milan area schools.
So moved by Freight?
The move is supported by Geiger. So this is an awesome list of experience. I'm going to read these off one at a time. If you are here, I would love for you to come up to receive an award. So Steve Livingston is a paraprofessional for 8 years.
Tracy.
Pause. Don Silly, 20 years as a paraprofessional. Nelda Pulver, 34 years of food service in high school. Marie Lamar, for 39 years of food service in the middle school. Let's give those guys a round of applause. Next, we have Carol Winter, almost 2 years of teaching. Julie Belhage, 17 years of teaching. Tracy Klein, 18 years of teaching. She was Ben's first grade teacher, and she taught him the love of bear toast, and he still loves bear toast to this very day. So, thank you so much.
She was Lizzie's too, so. She was AJ's too. And she converted AJ to a state fan for about a year. Thankfully, it didn't last. Even Lizzie didn't want you, right, Mrs. Klein?
Thank you. Craig Zuby for 24 years of service. John Fleming for 35 years of service.
need to vote.
Thank you so much. You still need to vote. So it's been moved and supported to then Steve Porter, John Fleming, Craig Zuki, Tracy Klein, Julie Delage, Marie Lamar, Melvin Fulmer, Don Seeley, Steve Livingston, and Carol Winter for their service to Milan area schools. Ms. Hyde? Yes.
Most definitely, yes.
Yes.
Next up on the agenda is communications, public comments. Reminder that this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting school district business and is not to be considered a public meeting. There are two times for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. When addressing the board, you'll be asked to state your name. The board determines the amount of time granted to individuals or groups to speak. Each person shall be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes. I'll give you a 30-second warning and ask you to finish your thoughts when you hear your time. Board members may question speakers but are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or criticisms in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such items will be referred to the superintendent for advisement, investigation, study, and/or recommendation or designated for board consideration. Is there anyone who would like to address the board?
Hello, Rachel Hutz. I'm going to put my comments recorded in a minute. First of all, thank you for sharing all the accomplishments of all the students that were just on the stage as well as the past few meetings. It's great to hear those things that are going on in the district. I want to wish Amy well on her next endeavors. I appreciate the work that you've done as a board member. Now to the nitty-gritty. I want to know what we are doing to address the enrollment issues within the district. I want to know that, or want some reassurance that we're focusing on providing an excellent education for our students that will be attractive to others and bring others in. Let's just get down to the bare bones of education. I've had some correspondence with Shin that have been left open, but I want to know what we're doing to strengthen our academics. Can we prepare our students for college? What are we doing to prepare them for college? I know one of my communications with Shin was about semester exams. It was explained to me that the high school phased out semester exams. I wasn't aware of that communication. I'm still looking forward to receiving that communication, but that's a quality and a trait that students should learn that will prepare them for, the 21st century. Next, I want to know what we're doing to make our schools harder targets. And when I say harder targets, I don't necessarily mean arming our teachers with guns. I've raised this several times at board meetings, and I've yet to receive much communication on this. I've emailed the board with concerns and issues that I've experienced personally, and I've been told that the concerns would be discussed in admin meetings, but we don't know what's come out of that. We need to do something more than just wait for legislation to pass, laws to provide funding. What are we doing to actively protect our kids? Next, I want to address the 5-3 draft minutes. They're not an accurate record of the meeting. There are individuals listed in attendance that weren't even present, but now we struggle with adding summaries of public comments. It just doesn't make sense. We need to do a better job. When I come up to this microphone, it's not because I want to criticize the district. I want us to do better. We all can do better. That's not too much to ask. Thank you.
guys, Kurt Demars. If you would please record my comments in the meeting minutes. I just want to, I guess, ditto a few things that thank you guys again for inviting groups in and honoring them. Actually, tonight got to see my son as part of it, so that was pretty cool. You know, thank you for the things that you did for our retirees. You know, it was good to hear, kind of a relief, I guess, for my wife and I to hear that a couple of them that we know as coaches are going to still be doing that, because that's probably our biggest experience with Zupi and Porter is seeing them as coaches for our kids, and it was really cool to hear that they're staying on doing that. Great graduation. It was really cool that you guys, I don't know who's in charge of that, how that process all goes, but choosing Mr. Morlock, and I had a chance to talk with him afterward, and I was very sincere when I said this to him, and I'll share it with you guys. As a youth pastor, probably one of my least favorite things to do is attend commencements. It's kind of a mixed bag for me. It's a joy to see the students go through that ceremony and what it means to them. When I say it's one of my least favorite things is they can be quite long, especially if you go to some that there's like 400 graduates. So that part of it isn't always a pleasure, but I told him the part that I was sincere about is that I've heard a lot of commencement speakers, and some of the schools, you know, have these famous people come in and give speeches, but the things that he had to say, I think it made it one of my favorites to ever hear. He's just such, and I told him this, he's just such a humble, genuine guy. You know, hearing him speak the way he did to the students was just amazing. So thank you guys for inviting him to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Mars. Just so you know, we don't invite him, it's the students that choose him. The students do the choose, so no thanks to us, it's the students. Yep. Are there others? All right, thank you for your comments this evening. Next up is approval of bills and reimbursements of expenses. I need a motion to approve the bills and reimbursement of expenses.
Or are you going to do the minutes first?
Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm getting out of order.
We'll just
No, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the workshop meeting of May 24th, 2022.
Moved by Kiger. Support by Landing.
It's been moved by Kiger, support by Landingham to approve the minutes of the workshop meeting of May 24th, 2022. Discussion.
Mr. Sislo?
Yes, Ms. Freight.
Just to be clear and for clarification, I'd like to thank Mrs. Iker for her emails today. It's my understanding that we're still working through the policies and the procedures, so it is still important to have our individuals and our board members formally request, because we're still working through the policy. And I'd just like to commend the Communications Committee and Mrs. Iker and Ms. Lanningham for their work on resolving these issues.
Thank you, Ms. Freight. Other questions or concerns? It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the workshop meeting of May 24th, 2022. Ms. Heike?
Sislo?
Yes.
Freight?
No?
Heike, yes. Kiger?
Yes.
Landingham?
Yes.
Macchio?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-1.
Now on to, I need a motion to approve the bills and reimbursement of expenses.
Moved by Heike.
Support by.
Moved by Heike, support by Landingham to approve the bills and reimbursement of expenses. Discussion? It's been moved and supported to approve the bills and reimbursement of expenses. Ms. Heike?
Freight?
Yes.
Heike, yes. Kiger?
Yes.
Landingham?
Yes.
Macchio?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, next up is I need a motion to approve the 2022-2023 MHSAA membership resolution as included in attachment E.
Moved by Kiger.
Support by Macchio.
It's been moved and supported to approve the 2022-2023 MHSAA membership resolution as included in attachment E. So this is the Michigan High School Athletic Association membership that we do annually so that we can compete in athletics in both the middle school and the high school. Any else to add, Mr. Gearbaugh?
The only thing that I would like to say is there is no membership fee in MHSAA. It just requires board recognition of the resolution so that they know that we are officially participating. It allows us to go into district, regional, and state tournaments and compete with referees that are approved by MHSAA.
Any questions or concerns? It's been moved and supported to approve the 22-23 MHSAA membership resolution as included in attachment E. Ms. Heike.
Freight?
Yes.
Heike, yes. Kiger?
Yes.
Landingham?
Yes.
Macchio?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Next on the agenda is the second reading and approval of the various budget amendments and budgets that we've been talking about at the last meeting. So I need a motion to approve the 21-22 general fund budget amendment as presented in attachment F.
Moved by Kiger.
Support by Landingham.
It's been moved and supported to approve the 21-22 general fund budget amendment as presented in attachment F. Again, this has come before us. Are there any questions or concerns in regards to the budget amendment?
Mr. Sisson?
Yes, Ms. Freight.
Chris, I just have a quick question for clarification. This includes our ESSER 3 money or does not? I know you told me before, but I'm just being
The
clear.
budget does include ESSER 3, but it does not include 11T because we didn't have that applied for at the time the budget was written.
Okay, so ESSER 3 in, 11T out.
Correct.
Thank you.
Hold on, this is the budget amendment for this year. So it does not include ESSER 3 or 11T. It includes the completed use of ESSER 2 funds.
Yes. Sorry. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Any other questions or concerns? It's been moved and supported to approve the 21-22 general fund budget amendment as presented in attachment F. Ms. Heike.
Heike, yes. Kiger?
Yes.
Landingham?
Yes.
Macchio?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Freight?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Next, I need a motion to approve the 21-22 debt funds budget amendment as presented in attachment G.
Moved by Landingham.
Support by Kiger.
All right, it's been moved and supported to approve the 21-22 debt funds budget amendment as presented in attachment G. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, it's been moved and supported to approve the 21-22 debt fund budget amendment as presented in attachment G. Ms. Heike.
Kiger?
Yes.
Landingham?
Yes.
Macchio?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Freight?
Yes.
Heike, yes. Motion carries 6-0.
Next, I need a motion to approve the 21-22 food service budget amendment as presented in attachment H.
Moved by Kiger. Support by Macchio.
It's been moved and supported to approve the food service budget amendment. Any questions or concerns? It's been moved and supported to approve the 21-22 food service budget amendment as presented in attachment H. Ms. Heike.
Landingham?
Yes.
Macchio?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Freight?
Yes.
Heike, yes. Kiger?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, this is our last amendment. This is to approve the 21-22 student school activities budget amendment as presented in attachment I. I need a motion.
Moved by Heike.
Support by Landingham.
It's been moved and supported to approve the 21-22 school aid activities budget amendment. Any questions or concerns? It's been moved and supported to approve the 21-22 student school activities budget amendment as presented in attachment I. Ms. Heika?
Macchio,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Freight,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Kiger,
Yes.
Landingham,
Yes.
motion carries 6-0.
All right, now we will get on to the 22-23 budgets. I need a motion to approve the 2022-2023 general fund preliminary budget as presented in attachment J.
Moved by Kiger.
Support by Heika.
It's been moved and supported to approve the 22-23 general fund preliminary budget. Questions or concerns? It's been moved and supported to approve the 22-23 general fund preliminary budget as presented in attachment J. Ms. Heika?
Sislo,
Yes.
Freight,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Kiger,
Yes.
Landingham,
Yes.
Macchio,
Yes.
motion carries 6-0.
Next, I need a motion to approve the 2022-2023 debt funds preliminary budget as presented in attachment K.
Moved by Landingham.
Support by Kiger.
It's been moved and supported to approve the 22-23 debt funds preliminary budget. Any questions or concerns? It's been moved and supported to approve the 2022-2023 debt funds preliminary budget as presented in attachment K. Ms. Heika?
Freight,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Kiger,
Yes.
Landingham,
Yes.
Macchio,
Yes.
Sislo.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Next up, I need a motion to approve the 2022-2023 food service preliminary budget as presented in attachment L.
Moved by Kiger. Support by Macchio.
It's been moved and supported to approve the 22-23 food service preliminary budget. Any questions or concerns? It's been moved and supported to approve the 22-23 food service preliminary budget as presented in attachment L. Ms. Heika?
Freight,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Kiger,
Yes.
Landingham,
Yes.
Macchio,
Yes.
Sislo.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Our final preliminary budget approval is the 2022-2023 student school activity funds. I need a motion to approve the 2022-23 student school activity funds preliminary budget as presented in attachment M.
Moved by Heika.
Support by Kiger.
It's been moved and supported to approve the 22-23 student school activity funds preliminary budget as an attachment M. Any questions or concerns? It's been moved and supported to approve the 2022-2023 student school activity funds preliminary budget as presented in attachment M. Ms. Heika?
Heika, yes. Kiger,
Yes.
Landingham,
Yes.
Macchio,
Yes.
Sislo.
Yes.
Freight,
Yes.
motion carries 6-0.
All right, next up is I need a motion in regards to the 2022-2023 General Appropriations Act. We need to, whoever needs to, we need to look at those attachments, and somebody needs to make a motion for approval as far as in regards to what attachment.
Mr. Sislo, if I may?
Yeah.
Just for clarification, if Chris could help us, N1 is the 9.9?
N1 is 9.75,
Oh, 7.5, thank you.
N2 is 9.9.
I
Mr.
move that we
Sislo?
support
Go ahead.
N1.
All right, I have a motion to approve the 2022-2023 General Appropriations Act as presented in attachment N1, which is 9.75.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Kiger.
Kiger, and who was the second?
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and supported. It's been moved by Kiger, supported by Heike, to approve the 2022-2023 General Appropriations Act as presented in attachment N1, which represents a millage rate of 9.75. We discussed this at length at our last meeting. We had questions were asked to Mr. Gearbaugh and Ms. Hendricks in regards to the scenarios that were laid out in front of us. Are there any other questions or concerns regarding setting the millage rate at 9.75?
So, Mr. Sislo, I don't have any questions or concerns, but I've struggled over the last 2 weeks about whether or not to leave the millage rate at 9.9 or move it to 9.75. I struggle because when we had our discussion 2 weeks ago, there's some uncertainty as to what will happen in the future, and I'm concerned about having to approve a drastic millage increase in the future to cover the costs. And I'm also concerned that reducing it will slightly increase the amount of interest we pay overall. However, at this moment, given the economy, given the fact that gas is $5.29 at Kroger right now, I am supporting this tax relief for our constituents.
Mr. Sislo?
Yeah, Ms. Wright.
I have the same exact concerns that Mrs. Heike has, and we've discussed the additional interest rate and our interest that will incur for our constituents and things. And prior to our conversation in the last meeting, Mrs. Heike, I think, appropriately worded it in giving an instant relief for long-term potential problems. So unfortunately, I will not be supporting this because I think it's more of a being a custodian of the funds with trying to save our district that additional interest and help us, and we can continue to do so.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Any other questions or concerns?
I guess I would just like to, because you knew it wasn't going to happen without me having a comment. I would just like to say that in 2008 and 2009, we had many forums to educate the community on this bond, with which I participated, and I believe all of them. We had phone canvassing, of which I participated in. And Mr. Gearbaugh, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not believe anyone from the community came forward and suggested that we increase the millage rate to save interest in the long run.
That is correct as far as I can recollect.
Thank you, Ms. Kiger. Any other questions or concerns? All right, it's been moved and supported to approve the 2022-2023 General Appropriations Act as presented in attachment N1, which is a millage rate of 9.75. Ms. Heike.
Kiger,
Yes.
Landingham,
Yes.
Macchio,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Freight,
No?
Heike, yes. Motion carries 5-1.
All right. Next up on our agenda is a Communications Committee update. Ms. Melissa Brown is here from the committee to provide us a report from the committee. Mrs. Brown.
Hello. Let's see, I need so at our May meeting, the Communication Committee further discussed the meeting minutes. All committee members in attendance voted to recommend the board include people's comments in the minutes to create a record of topics brought before the board. We suggested that the board secretary include the person's name, followed by a brief 1 to 2 sentence statement, which would include their viewpoint if a viewpoint was included. We also discussed various options to improve two-way communication with the community and evaluated the most recent Big Red board chat. This discussion is ongoing, and we welcome those who have ideas to help those in our community feel heard to please share those with us at our new email address, which brings me to our next topic. We did create a communications ad hoc committee, whatever we are, email address. And it is on the Board of Education's page on the website, along, I believe, I looked at it today, I think our charter's on there and kind of what our goals are as a committee to work with the board and provide our input. So. It is Milan Area Schools Board Communications @gmail.com. That's it.
Thank you,
Okay,
Ms. Brown.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Well done. That brings us to the school board vacancy discussion. So with that, tonight I wanted to give an update of where we're at and what we'll, and go over how we'll proceed for the next June meeting for the interviews. So we received 6 applicants, and 5 applicants are available to be interviewed at that meeting. They are Andrew Douglas, George Elder IV, Sarah Murray, Murphy Payer, and Betty Rosen Leacher. So those are the 5 individuals that we will be interviewing at our next June meeting. So I wanted to discuss the process that we're going to be using for that, so that we're all on the same page moving forward and we can communicate that to the people that are going to be interviewing. I did email you folks a draft process that we're going to discuss at this time. So my main concern is to be as transparent as possible with this interview process, such that we interview the candidates all in the same evening and provide them the opportunity to answer questions in a certain order such that it doesn't give anybody an unfair advantage. And that's why I outlined the process that we're looking at this evening. So my thoughts are that we would have perhaps somebody from the communications committee or at least the audience randomly draw the order of the candidates at the board meeting as far as when they're going to answer the question, so that no person ever answers the question first, so that we have a random order that's decided and then followed as we ask questions. They will also choose board members in a random order to ask their question, just to make sure that everybody, that there's nothing, that we're not saying that this person is asking this question first. So that's the idea, and it'll result in that chart that I showed in regards to asking the questions and the candidate order. So with that, my thoughts are that it would be 5 board members asking 5 questions, so that each candidate had the opportunity to go first and go last. As the presiding officer will moderate the order, maintain timekeeping, and ask any clarifying questions as necessary. And then we'll have the board members ask their question, and then the candidates will answer. As far as the time frame, I proposed 2 minutes to answer the question, and if we're conservative, that's about 3 minutes per interaction, and would result in 1 hour and 15 minutes of interviewing. So, what are our thoughts in regards to regards to that. So basically, each candidate would be asked 5 questions and have the opportunity to answer those questions for 2 minutes each in a rotating order.
I think that's a great way of moving the meeting forward, and the interview process forward. And it's not unlike the rules we have here for public comments.
Andrew, I'm sorry, I can't hear Mrs. Hager.
I said I support this, and I think it's a good way to move the meeting and the interview forward, and it's not unlike the rules we have for public comment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So with that, once the interviews are completed, the board members will consider the answers to those questions that were provided. And then each candidate did provide written responses as part of their applications that will also be considered. And then I will ask each board member to rank their candidates by choice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on cards that we'll collect. And then those will be read aloud by the board secretary. It's required that we have that vote in public. And then this tally will result in some type of a tally sheet in regards to each board member's rankings of the candidates will be listed in a tally sheet. And from there, as you add those numbers across, the candidates that get the lowest number, because if you the candidate that would be your first choice would get number 1. The candidate who would be your 5th choice would get number 5. So it would be the candidates that have the lowest number in that total column that we would move forward with. And that number could vary anywhere from 5 to, no, it could vary from 6 to 30. So the lowest, the highest number could be 6, the lowest number could be 30, however you want to look at it. So after that, we would move forward with at least 2 candidates, but not more than 3, depending on how that tally works out, because if there's a candidate that's somewhat on the borderline, we may want to bring them in for a final vote. If there's a clear top 2, we would just take the final 2 to be considered again. So again, so we would take either 2 or not more than 3 candidates, and then we would ask you to rank those 2 or 3 candidates again. This would allow, so maybe if your 4th choice wasn't one of those top 2 or 3, this would allow you to look at the top 3 or top 1, the top 2 or top 3 choices and re-rank your vote in regards to the candidates that are moving forward. So then we would ask for your rankings on those final 2 or 3 candidates. And then, again, we would tally up those numbers. The votes would be read aloud by the secretary. And then whoever had the lowest number would be the person nominated and voted on by the board to fill the vacancy. Questions about that or concerns? So my ask of you would be to come up with one question that you're going to ask all the candidates. I will contact you before the meeting to find out what your question is so that we don't have duplicate questions. I will, if we're in agreement with this process, I'll reach out to the candidates to explain this process to them for our next June meeting when this process occurs. And again, all the votes will be in open session as required by the Open Meetings Act. We cannot go into closed session to discuss or confer with these candidates. And the interviews will be in open session as well. Okay.
Thank you, Andrew, for putting this all together.
You're welcome. All right. Next on the agenda is the 2022-2023 proposed board meeting dates as an attachment O. This is a first reading. I do have one thing that I would like to suggest, would be to move the the July 13th meeting to July 20th, if that's possible. We'd only have one meeting in July, so we'd move it from the 13th to the 20th. Again, with this schedule, we chose 2 Tuesdays and 2 Thursdays throughout the year, as requested by the public to change up some of the dates for attendance. So we do have 2 Tuesdays and 2 Thursdays throughout the year that are not on Wednesday evenings to help spread them out throughout the week.
Mr. Sisler?
Yes, Ms. Freight.
In the efforts of transparency, it's me that's asking if you could move the meeting to the 20th. I have some medical procedures, and I would appreciate if the board is at all comical, if we could move it to the 20th. Appreciate that consideration.
Does anybody have an issue with moving that to the 20th? All right, so this is a first reading. We will approve this at our next meeting. So Mr. Gearbaugh will have it'll reflect July 20th instead of July 13th for the first meeting.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, next up is we have first readings of 2 policy updates, and I will turn it over to Ms. Heike, the chair of the policy committee.
So this is also a first reading of these two policy updates per our board policy. We have to have a first reading of an amendment to a policy, and then we can approve it, much like the calendar, at the next meeting. So the 2 policy amendments, the first one is to the wellness policy. These minor edits were proposed by the school's wellness committee. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about the wellness committee, but I'll have to turn that over to Mr. Gearbaugh if anyone has any questions about that committee. But as you can see, the edits are pretty minor.
So just a quick description, the Wellness Committee has to meet and do a triennial, so every 3-year review of the wellness policy. That committee met and conducted that review. They felt that all of the goals were progressing and that they wanted to keep the same goals in the policy. They did have 2 changes they wanted to make. There was a statement that said schools may limit the number of celebrations involving serving food during the school day. It used to say to no more than 2 per class per month. We don't do anywhere near that number, and we didn't want the policy to insinuate that we do. We do more like 2 or 3 a year in any one class. So we're asking to strike the end of that sentence and basically just say that schools may limit the number of celebrations involving serving food during the school day. And then the second change, the whole grain products requirement continues to be updated and changed by the USDA. And instead of having to update the policy every time they change that requirement, we are just asking to state that whole grain products, whole grain rich implementation will follow the USDA guidelines. So instead of trying to keep that updated and be specific as to what that is, we will just always follow that guideline. And therefore, we don't have to continuously update the policy. So those were the 2 changes recommended by the Wellness Committee. If there are any questions, I can answer them.
Then the second edited policy is policy number, oh, I'm going to get it wrong, I thought I had it right here. 0168.1. This is the open meetings policy. In accordance with the recommendation by the Communications Committee, we are striking the language that requires board members and the public to request that their comments be included in the meeting minutes. And instead, the policy will now simply read that the minutes shall, I need glasses, the minutes shall only show action taken and summarized remarks of board members, administration, and/or citizens present. So again, this edit was in accordance with the recommendation made by the Communications Committee. So if anyone has any questions about that one.
I do not.
I just have a minor question. Both of them, you say that they're revised on 6/24/22. Is that they would be passed by 6/24?
No, that should, I apologize, that should be 7/24/22.
Or 6/7?
Well, you'll actually approve them at the next board meeting, so it should be the next, no, 6/24. No, that is 6/24.
That is the next board
Yeah,
meeting.
the next board meeting is 6/24. So I just put the date that they would be revised as to when you would approve it. So 6/24/22.
I think
I have the 22nd.
Is it the 22nd?
Yeah, it's 6.
24th is a Friday.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
6/22.
6/22/22. I will make those edits.
All right, so that is the first reading of those policies, and we will have the final approval at that meeting on June 22nd. All right, thank you to the Policy Committee. This brings us back to public comments. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business, not to be considered a public meeting. There are 2 times for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. When addressing the board, you will be asked to state your name. The board determines the amount of time granted to individuals or groups to speak. Each person shall be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes. I'll give you a 30-second warning and ask you to finish your thought when the beeper goes off. Board members may question speakers but are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such items will be referred to the superintendent for advisement, investigation, study, and/or recommendation, or designated as future agenda items for board consideration. Is there anyone who would like to address the board?
Hello, Rachel Hobbs again. So I think it was last week that we got a robocall and an email or text message or whatever about the school calendar for next year for the 23-20 or the 22-23 school year. I was a little shocked that we're again starting before Labor Day weekend and ending after Memorial Day weekend. I thought a few years ago the state legislature passed a bill where schools could seek waivers for schools to start before Labor Day weekend, and I believe that it was the 1920 school year that we were going to start that. We sought the waiver, and we were going to start before Labor Day and end before Memorial Day. No, I'm sorry, that was last year. And because of COVID, we started 3 weeks late and ended later beyond Memorial Day weekend. So I'm again shocked that we're starting before Labor Day weekend and ending after Memorial Day weekend. And I'm wondering if there's some reason, because it really makes for a long school year. We've got 2 weeks beyond Memorial Day weekend, and there's no semester exams. And, you know, I know that teachers are burned out, students are burned out, and I'm wondering if there's some consideration that we can work to get a school calendar that starts before Labor Day weekend and ends before Memorial Day weekend. It makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hobbs. Yes, Mr. Gearbo.
The calendar that we distribute is negotiated between the district and the teachers union. The length of the calendar is determined by the fact that the state of Michigan requires 180 days of school. We do have a county-wide waiver to begin prior to Labor Day, even starting before Labor Day, unless we eliminate Christmas break, spring break, and some of the other weekends, we cannot finish prior to Memorial Day and have the 180 days required by the state of Michigan. So the contract really is dictated by the need for 1,098 contact hours and 180 days. And we do have a countywide waiver. We choose to start before Labor Day using the countywide waiver because Labor Day is so late right now that it would push us well into June if we did not start before Labor Day. But again, even starting before Labor Day and having the requirement of 180 days, there is no way that we could complete the year unless we eliminate almost all vacations prior to Memorial Day.
Are there others?
Hello, my name is Gabe Burdett. I have a freshman, soon to be sophomore at the high school, who participated in both the plays this past year, Clue and Peter and the Starcatcher. I also have a daughter going into 8th grade who participated in Beauty and the Beast. I just want to say the theater program here is just fantastic. Both kids just absolutely love it, and you could kind of tell by the number of kids who showed up for the recognition that they all love it too. We really appreciate it, you know, all the teachers, the directors. It was just fantastic. I know prior to COVID, both the high school and the middle school both had drama teachers, and I'm wondering if there are any plans in the future to consider bringing those positions back, and if there are no current plans, to please consider them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burdett. Are there others?
Hi, Melissa Demars. I just want to give a quick shout out to our athletic teams. We had 3 days, 3 trophies, 3 teams, our baseball, our softball, and our soccer. And I was at the majority of the baseball because my son plays baseball. And then I was at a lot of the softball. I was able to take pictures of them. I didn't get to see a whole lot of the soccer, but I'm really proud of our athletics and proud of theater because my son is involved, well, not because my son's involved with crew, but I've been able to be at the plays because of that. And I'm just excited about the things that Milan's doing between athletics and theater and just a lot of the things that are going on. I'm excited about it and just wanted to shout them out.
Thank you, Mrs. Demars.
Kirk Demars. Want to thank you guys. I mean, I know I stood here last time kind of voicing some displeasure with the time it takes to get things done sometimes. And I know from, you know, being in other organizations where I have to make decisions and, you know, lead in some way, I know that there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that we don't see. So I appreciate you guys making progress on the policies that you guys have been working on and working with the communications committee and that. So I really appreciate that. And again, I won't stop saying thank you to you guys for putting some of the meetings on other nights besides Wednesdays. You know, tonight's an example, of course, but even the fact that when you guys sat down to consider next year's calendar, that you guys took that into consideration, that some or all of you remembered, hey, you know, some of our community would like us to do this on another night as well. So I appreciate that. There was something else I forgot, but yeah, I think I wanted to say something about the athletics too, but yeah, they've done some really great things. It's been cool to see some of the students doing some things that hadn't been done before here in Milan. I think with our girls, right? The girls haven't achieved what they did this year. So yeah, thank you again, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Mars. Are there others? Yes, it certainly is exciting. Next up is superintendent comments. Mr. Gearbaugh.
Thank you. Several things to share this evening. One, and this will be the last time that I make this announcement, the district wants to remind our students and families that throughout this school year, full meal equivalent breakfasts and lunches are free. Individual milks and other foods are not. It is important, and I want to stress this, that this program ends on June 10th. This summer, the district will be reminding families to apply for free and reduced lunch meals for the 22-23 school year. We don't want families to miss out on any free meals that are needed next school year. The Girls on the Run held an event on Tuesday, May 24th that was a huge success. We want to congratulate all of the student participants, and we also want to thank the staff who helped coordinate and run that program throughout the school year. Senior Honors Night was held on Wednesday, May 25th. As always, the event was an amazing recognition of all of our graduating seniors' accomplishments. Department awards, athletic awards, and scholarships were given to our wonderful graduates, and I do want to thank Mrs. Freight, who was the board representative there and announced numerous scholarships. Congratulations to Mrs. Powell and all of our choir students. The concert on Thursday, May 26th, showcased our choirs and was a wonderful success. The adult education graduation was held on Thursday, May 26th. Due to the rain, the event was moved into the librarium. Mrs. Cox, the program coordinator, did a wonderful job preparing and hosting the ceremony. We want to congratulate all of our graduates and their families. Thank you to our adult education staff who worked tirelessly with those students in the evening. And I want to thank Mrs. Freight and Mrs. Kiger for being there to help recognize our graduates. On Thursday, May 26th, Mrs. Kiger and I had the pleasure of attending the second annual Milan Young Adult graduation ceremony. The lone graduate this year from the program chose to hold the ceremony during the day so that his family and, most importantly, all of his classmates could be present. On Thursday, June 2nd, Mrs. Freight, Mrs. Heike, and I enjoyed the middle school 8th grade recognition night. Principal Kim Jasper added several recognitions this year that I really believe improved the overall meaning of the event. Most importantly, the middle school now recognizes students with department awards, which is similar to the senior honors night at the high school. I too want to congratulate our baseball, our softball, and our girls soccer team. Our girls soccer team did have a first ever for the district in winning the district championship. They are competing right now in against Grosse Ile at the Notre Dame Prep Academy in Pontiac. I did receive a text from Mr. Farrow that the game started late because the game before them went into overtime, and so they are just in the first few minutes of that competition. On Sunday, June 5th, Milan High School held the district's 137th graduation ceremony. Congratulations to the class of 2022. We truly wish them well in all of their future endeavors. On Monday, June 6th, the Milan Area Chamber of Commerce live streamed the grand opening of the new playground equipment at Simons Elementary School. A huge thank you to the Simons PTO and all of the students at Simons Elementary who helped fundraise nearly $28,000 of the $37,000 that the new playground equipment cost. We truly thank the PTO and all of those parents involved for their support of that endeavor. I do want to personally thank all of our retirees. I know that a lot of them could not make it this evening. I look forward to providing personal comments for each of them as we recognize their retirement in front of all of their colleagues Friday at our end-of-year luncheon. We're happy to announce that Courtney Jeffers, a middle school teacher, had a baby girl. I'm assuming it's Isla Jeffers. It's I-S-L-A. I apologize if I mispronounced that name. What is it? Isla? Isla, okay. Jeannie Baber recently completed all of the course requirements and earned the voluntary Michigan School Business Officials Transportation Director certification. This is not something that is required of transportation directors, but is something that she sought out and worked on her own and took all of the classes necessary to receive that voluntary certificate, and we appreciate her dedication to that process. On Wednesday, June 1st, the Michigan Association of Community and Adult Education held a board meeting at which I was able to help recognize Connie Cox's service on the board. She served on the board for over 10 years and has been with Milan area schools in our adult ed program since 1990. It was my pleasure to be able to recognize her on behalf of Milan area schools, and I will say that the president of the Michigan Association of Community and Adult Education will be at our next board meeting to recognize her here briefly for her 10 years plus on the board. Remember that Milan COVID data can be viewed by visiting Milan area schools. This week will be the last week that we publish the dashboard, as that is no longer a requirement, but we felt it was best to continue that process through the end of this school year. As was mentioned, the 22-23 school calendar was sent to the community via instant messenger. That calendar is also available by visiting milanereaschools.org and clicking the calendar link at the top of the page. And you will be able to see a printable PDF calendar so that families can print that and keep it available for them for next year. Today I was able to attend and participate in a MDE statewide virtual job fair. I was able to speak with numerous candidates that are interested in some of our current vacancies in the district, and was allowed to share some information about the district and direct them to our application process online. The Milan Area Schools Sexual Health Advisory Committee met on June 3rd. 15 of the 16 members were present, including the newly added community members. The committee had good discussions about several topics and have asked the district health staff to bring some materials for review that would possibly add a couple of new topics to some of our middle school curriculum. It is important to note that at this point, the Sexual Health Advisory Committee is only in the investigative phase. If any changes are recommended by the committee, those would then require public hearings and board approval before any curriculum would be changed for our sexual health classes. The committee is working very well together, and it's great to see that everyone is respecting each other's different viewpoints on some of these topics. Last, the district's Wellness Committee met on Tuesday, May 24th and conducted the required triennial assessment of the wellness policy. The committee did recommend 2 minor changes to the wellness policy, as you heard this evening. Nurse Dawn Hines will be completing the required documentation of the triennial assessment, and that will be posted on our district website. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gearbaugh. Mr. McMahon.
Yep, I have a few updates here tonight. I want to inform the board that the district has partnered with a company called K-12 Insight to conduct surveys, perception surveys of our stakeholders. You might have gotten an email today, hopefully. That it's working, so that's good. This company partners with a number of districts in our area in the state. I've taken their surveys as a parent in another district, and they're really great. They're going to help us not only create the survey, we can customize it, but they're also going to process the data for us. So we're looking forward to that outcome in the summer. This replaces our advanced ed surveys we used to take. If you remember, it's been a year or two because of COVID that kind of got put on the back burner, and we don't have the relationship with advanced ed anymore. So these surveys replace those. It's our stakeholder perception. We're going to process that data, and it's going to inform our internal reviews that we are now going to conduct in the fall, which is our comprehensive needs analysis process for the state school improvement process. So this is really step one of getting back into district improvement. So we're looking forward to getting those results. Students started taking those today. Parents and staff was released today, so we'll get those within a couple weeks. I want to let you know that the summer school planning is like in full swing right now. We're starting on June 21st. We're going to run a 6-week program this year at Paddock and Simons, and then the middle school is going to run more of a club structure, and high school is going to continue to run the credit recovery program they've had the last few years. We are finalizing our student list right now by invite, and information is going out as soon as this week for the final details for our families, which also includes food and transportation again this year. We are currently in the process of updating our elementary classroom libraries. Just want to share with the board, it's quite an involved process because it includes a multiple number of vendors, but we are updating, well, we just purchased summer school units for our units of study. We're updating our units of study is switching to a 3rd edition it's going to be K2 reading is what we're purchasing for that. And we're also updating libraries at all K5 classrooms to reflect decodables K2, more thematic units, more consistent libraries across grade levels. So we're in the process of getting those kind of ordered now to take possession after July 1 to be in next year's budget. But we're pretty excited to be able to provide that for the teachers, and I think they're excited too. They've had a lot of input, and I know there was a lot of discussion around titles and purchasing, and they've been pretty excited about that. So we're happy to have that moving. And lastly, I want to mention something called the Farm Science Lab. Molly Jeppesen is our new STEM teacher this year at both of our elementary buildings. She's a split special there for STEM, and she has been working extremely hard to build that program, and all of you know Molly and how hard she works, so she just really took the reins of this program. But to just add some icing on the cake for the year, she applied for and received 2 scholarships from Monroe County Farm Bureau and Washtenaw County, one each, Washtenaw County Farm Bureau, to cover what's called the Farm Science Lab, which I've never heard of this. It's pretty cool. It's a mobile, like 40-foot trailer. It's called a mobile field trip. They're going to bring it to the school. And so it's going to cover 3 days at the fall at Simon. So the kids will experience somewhat of a field trip lab experience right in the parking lot. So it sounds really cool. And just thanks to Molly for all she's done for STEM, but particularly for getting these 2 scholarships. That's it for me.
Cool.
Ryan, sorry, is that going to Paddock and Simons?
No, just Simons this year. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. With no student board member comments, board member comments, I'm going to go first here. I do want to recognize Miss Amy Landingham. This is your last board meeting with us. We appreciate all your service. I appreciate the phone calls that I've had with you, the trainings that you've attended, the fact that you're a Michigan football fan is very helpful. So I just want to thank you for all that you've done for the board, and I know you will continue to advocate for the schools, and we have a small token of appreciation for you. Ms. Freight?
Thank you, Mr. Sislo. So I'm just going to piggyback a little bit off of Brian's. Jan and I, Ryan, all really enjoyed the adult education. We had 10 grads. Connie does an exceptional program. It is phenomenal to have the students come in and thank you multiple times for allowing them that opportunity. And she really goes out of the way. She explained how a couple of the students were homeless and had children, and how the staff in our adult program helped raise the needs that those students needed beyond just the education. So incredibly grateful to Connie and the staff at the adult education. As a military brat, I also want to acknowledge the one grad that went directly into the military. It was really quite nice to see those kinds of honors be bestowed upon one of our graduates. I'd also like to thank the Simons PTO. Andrew and Jan and I were there with Mr. Gearbaugh in the rain. And despite the rain, the kids really enjoyed the new equipment. It was a little aging to see that the new equipment that I thought wasn't so new. But the kids are having a great time, and it's really nice that our PTO put forth so much effort and our community responds to the need to help our kids go out and enjoy their recess. Jan, I really do want to thank you once again for the opportunity to award our students at the senior night. It was beyond my pleasure. As many of you may or may not know, I've subbed in the district for 10 years before, 10 or 12 years before being on the board, and it's been a hot minute since I got to see your kids, and it was phenomenally heartwarming to be able to award them with those scholarships, as well as moving into graduation. Although I'm glad we're moving back inside, it was a beautiful day, and I enjoyed the ceremonies, and am exceptionally grateful for the hugs that I received from the students. Also enjoyed 8th grade move up. It was really fun just to see the excitement of all of our kids and how excited they are to move in and stay within Milan and come up to the high school. And just the shout outs and fun and excitement they got, as Mr. Gearbaugh mentioned, getting the department awards, and then the outstanding tradition now of the poetry slam. Shout out to Mrs. Heike's daughter for receiving the most votes. It was phenomenal how excited those kids got over poetry. I also want to thank our retirees. Both of my daughters were in classes of all of those teachers and have received help from the food staff and those parapros. The amount of years of service is very commendable, and I'm beyond thankful for their service. Oh, and I was going to try, Amy. I'll do my best. My short term on the board, I've just exceptionally appreciated your friendship, and I'll just do that. So, thank you, Dede. Thank you, Mr. Sislo.
Yes. You want to go last, or you want to go now?
I can go last.
Okay.
I want to start by congratulating all of our newest alumni. It was a great event, so thank you to all the high school staff. I know a lot of planning goes into make that event as wonderful as it is. I do want to remind our new alumni, though, that your community needs you. So wherever you go out into this great world to make your way, make sure you keep coming back, because we need you to come back and keep this community going and doing the great things that it's already doing. I want to congratulate the girls soccer team, the softball team, and the baseball teams on their district wins. I went to my very first ever soccer game. It was amazing. I had no idea what happened at a soccer game. I was exhausted just watching them. And the grit that those girls have, it's incredible. And I'm very excited to see hear what they do tonight. I also was able to attend the softball district game. Likewise, those young women, I mean, they gave it all. They left it all right there on the field, and it was very wonderful to watch. I took with me my daughter and her softball bestie, who played for the 8th grade team, and they were both so inspired by everything that they saw that Jenny went home and started shagging balls in the backyard. So what is going on these fields makes a difference to the young kids who see you and see all that you're accomplishing. So good luck to all of them. I was at 8th grade graduation or move up. Again, thank you to the middle school staff that worked really hard to put that together. It was a great night for all of the kids and the parents to see, everything that all of those kids had also accomplished. In the classroom and just part of their community and everything else. I do have one suggestion. I think I shared this with Mrs. Barker, but I'm going to share it with Brian, and I'm going to share it with Ms. Jasper also. I think we need to add to the awards a perseverance award, because I think we're very good at recognizing kids who excel in the classroom or who excel in a sport or in band, and we're doing better now at recognizing our theater kids and all that they contribute. But I also want to recognize the kids that, against all odds, made it to 8th grade recognition night or made it to, finishing high school, because we know there are a lot of kids out there that don't have the support at home, and they are just chugging away every day to get there. And I think that they should be recognized just as much as the kid who writes the poem that everyone votes for. So that's my suggestion for those and for senior night. I saw too I didn't get to attend it was tonight, but I saw a lot of little preschool graduates out and about in town today celebrating with their parents. Today is my son's 17th birthday. He is a Paddock preschool graduate, and so it was just nice to see all those little kids in their white caps. And so thank you to all of our preschool teachers, because they really do a great job of preparing our kids from kindergarten and making that transition as seamless as it can be and getting them ready. Then I want to let everyone know that our student GSA is hosting a Pride picnic on Thursday, July 9th at Wilson Park from 4 to 7. And as part of that program, they will be walking from Wilson Park over to City Hall to raise the Pride flag at City Hall. So if you have time and you're going to be in town, if you stop by and show those kids some support, that would be great too. And Amy Landingham. I remember calling you and saying, we have a vacancy, Amy, and you need to apply for this vacancy because you have a perspective that the board needs to hear. And I'm so grateful to you that you did, and I'm grateful that you have been a staunch and steadfast supporter for all of our kids, but especially for our minority students and our LGBTQ students who don't always have someone who's willing to stand up for them and do what's right, and you always have been. And so I thank you for that. But even before then, we were friends because our kids were in preschool together. And so even beyond the school board, I want to thank you for your friendship and your counsel all of these years. And I'm still going to be calling you even though you're gone. So thank you very much.
Ms. Macchio?
Well, we have a lot to blame on COVID, but I don't know, for me personally, and maybe people here who are watching or present would agree that I feel like at the end of this year, just brought for me personally, just a feeling of jubilation and celebration. There was just a lot going on, and all of it was positive, and I just really feel like this year is wrapping up, and I don't even want to say normal anymore, because I do feel like it's just given us a new perspective on things, and I just feel like it was super positive, and just because of where we've been, and we've risen back up, and that's through the hard work of everybody in this community. So, you know, I always say that graduation is my favorite event because I feel like it's the pinnacle of everything that we're here for. You know, it's the perfect melding of our community, our families, our staff, and our students working together for all of our kids to have their individual success, whatever that's going to be in life. And so when I sit on the stage and I listen to Mr. Morlock, who has been a speaker the most times that I've been on the board for 10 years, and so I always look forward to that. But he always brings a great perspective about life, and I appreciated that and agree with what Mr. DeMar said about that. But yeah, it was great to just sit back, and I was really thinking when we were sitting on that stage of just all the great things that have been happening, and how we all work together to make that happen. So I appreciate everybody that helps get our kids to that point. So I won't reiterate about the sports and everything, because that kind of goes with, you know, everything else that I'm saying, including our retirees. Mr. Porter has been a pivotal role model for my children, and you know, I can't talk about it too much because I'll get all verklempt. But anyway, he's been an incredible person in my kids' lives, and you know, as a parent, you'll never forget that. Anyway, so two things. I did want to say, you know, this is our last week of school, and I want to thank our staff throughout the district for everything you've done, and I hope that you have the most restful and relaxing and laid-back summer possible, and enjoy everything that summer brings with it, like time with your family and friends that I know is sometimes sparse during the school year. So thanks for helping us to end on those high notes that I was just talking about. And so last but not least, of course, Mrs. Landingham. So Mrs. Landingham was appointed when she first came to us on the board, like Mrs. Heike said, much like the process we're going through now. And I didn't know Amy before she came on the board, but I just wanted to say what a wonderful addition you've been, and I love that you just come up with the most thoughtful questions, and it's really made me think about a lot of different things that that you've brought to the forefront for this board, and that are so important and will continue to be important to us as we move forward. So I know we haven't seen the last of you. We know that you'll be here to carry those endeavors through. So thank you, Amy, for everything, because it's an incredible amount of work, and the last couple of years have been the most challenging of all, and we all appreciate you for everything you've done, especially for our students. That's it for me.
Thank you. Ms. Kiger.
Well, in the interest of time, I won't repeat everything that's already been said. Just one additional thank you that I want to give is to our high school band and Mrs. Upton for participating in the Memorial Day Parade. They certainly added the pizzazz, and I really appreciate it. They represented our school district very well at that. Amy, this isn't goodbye, because we're going to hang out. And just like Mrs. Macchio, you were new to me. You were someone I didn't know. Not only has your perspective helped our students grow, but you've helped me grow. And I am definitely a better human being for having met you. Thank you.
All right. I have a couple more things. I'm sorry. So rest up a little bit. I do want to thank Melissa Brown for giving the update this evening from the Communications Committee. I know she's very busy at home, and I express my appreciation also to Jill Tousley, who's on the Communications Committee, for being here this evening. As you've all heard, there are a ton of end-of-year events, and I wish I could attend them all. Obviously, I did attend the graduation. I do want to apologize to Ms. Heike and Ms. Macchio for my hood hitting them in the face. So I think we had a lot of wind, we had some rain, we had everything we had the sun, we had the clouds, but we made it through. Graduation was a great event, and then when I make these lists, I always worry that I'm going to miss somebody, but just the fact this pile of certificates don't even represent how much work and how much love that these people have for our students. the food service employees, our paraprofessionals, our administration, our student services people, our bus drivers, our counselors, our secretaries, of course, our teachers. And as I look at these end-of-year events, I was, especially with graduation, our custodians, because I saw in the beginning, you know, they were going back and forth. They were getting mats to put out for people to make sure, you know, it was safe. And then at the end, they had loaded up the podium on their little trailer. And it's just like, you know, they're doing it with a smile. And they're always at these events as well. And they know how special it is for the students as well as the community. So, and as we finish up this year, it's a testament to all these people that contribute to the success of our students and the success of our schools. We cannot thank you enough for all that you do. We sincerely appreciate it. And like Ms. Macchio said, you deserve a break, well rest during the summer, so we greatly appreciate it. And I will let Ms. Landingham do her curtain call.
So before we get to the waterworks, just a quick happy Pride Month to everyone who celebrates it. I also wanted to invite everyone to the Pride Picnic on Thursday at 4 o'clock at Wilson Park. I understand there's a parade also on Saturday at 4. I don't have any details on that, but it'll be fun, I'm sure. I've heard there's a rumor floating around out there that the reason that I'm resigning is because there's been pressure put on me in order to try and influence the election to get someone in my seat, which honest to God made me laugh a little bit, because if anybody knows me personally, know that if I'm influenced to go left, I'm probably going to go right, because I don't usually do what I'm told to do. It's just not in my nature. In fact, if anything, the pressure was the other way. When I first started kind of saying, hey, I think I might not be able to make it, the pressure was, come on, you can do it. I'm like, no, I don't, I really can't. So I just wanted to clarify that. No one's putting any pressure on me. This is 100% my decision. It has been an amazing 7 years. I have loved the work that we've done on the board. I am so honored and humbled that something that I've contributed has made a difference for the kids in our community. There's nothing better than that. That's everything. Everybody sitting on this platform has been amazing. I don't have words for the gratitude that I feel for the relationships that I've formed and the work that we've done together. I'm so honored to have been able to serve our community this way. So thank you to everyone here. Thank you to my family for sacrificing at least 2 Wednesdays a month and weekends here and there while I go to conferences and education and all of the things that they've given up in order for me to serve here. I'm not going away. You'll see me right about there. I certainly have to be here for the interviews, like, you know, can't miss that. And I guess the last thing is just whoever ends up in this seat, know that it's a ton of work. You're gonna have blood and sweat and tears, and it is one of the most rewarding things you'll ever do. I'm super grateful for the people who have thrown their hat in the ring, and I wish them and all of you the absolute best of everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Landingham. With that, the meeting is adjourned at 8:38.
Unofficially, soccer is 0-0 at the half.